pray. Oh God, may the words of my mouth and the meditations of our hearts be acceptable in your sight, O Lord, our strength and our Redeemer. Amen. Sometimes words can be tricky, and many of the words in this parable can make it difficult for us to read it and hear it and understand it. Certainly the use of slaves, that you hear that and your attention can go completely to that. And consider the disturbing fact that slavery was a part of the social and economic fabric of the time that this story was written. There's also the image of weeping and gnashing of teeth at the end. So you can hear that and your mind can go off in another direction. Even the word talent. Who knows what a talent is? It's a translation of a sum of money that's actually a lifetime's worth of wages, of good wages. So it could be millions of dollars that we're talking about here. So the first slave was given 5 talents, so 5 lifetimes worth of money in this parable. So it's kind of difficult to wrap your mind around that, I think. And also, it's not about money, this story. Have you ever heard of something called Midrash? It's a tradition within Judaism in which a rabbi or another leader will take a story from Scripture and retell the story in modern day terms. Add a few things here and there, take away a few things here and there, to make it more accessible to people. So, do you want to hear a midrash of this parable? Okay. So this is the story of Joel, Jane, and Jake. Joel was one of those people who was just gifted enormously. He was gifted with a fierce intellect, with charisma. He was someone that people wanted to be around and listen to. And also courage. He was not afraid to stand by his convictions. And so Joel went through his life receiving the feedback from others that only helped his own confidence. And he used those gifts that he had been given. All right? He used his gifts to get a medical degree. And he used that medical degree to work in underserved communities. He worked for Doctors Without Borders. He came up with new protocols for making vaccines available to developing nations. Just did tremendous things with his life. And so as he neared the end of his life, he would talk to God and listen to God, and he had a mystical experience in which it was almost as if he could hear God saying to him, "Well done, good and faithful servant. I entrusted you with a great deal, and look what you've done with it. Well done." And then there's Jane, also tremendously gifted with great creativity. She's a very skilled artist. Also has quite an entrepreneurial spirit and a good head for business. And so Jane decides to take her passions and her interests and her abilities and start her own business. She opens up an art store, and she teaches classes there, and she runs workshops, and she makes it a wonderful place for the community. And in all of her wonderful business savvy and entrepreneurial spirit, she couldn't, however, have anticipated the competition from just logging online to Michaels.com or Staples.com and getting your art supplies delivered to your front porch. She couldn't have anticipated the competition that she was going to get. And so over the years, her business did more and more poorly, and finally she had to close the doors, and that business failed. And she was a faithful woman, and so she spent a lot of time in prayer and talking to other people of faith who helped her and guided her. And she had a meditation one day in which it was almost as if she could imagine Jesus speaking to her. And she was praying, and she just kind of heard this voice, not really with her ears, but just like a still small voice inside her. Do you know what I mean? And it was as if that voice was saying to her, as she's wrestling with this failure of hers, "Well done, my good and faithful servant. You took a risk. You used your gifts. And you failed this time, but learn from your mistakes. Try again. Make new mistakes. Keep using your talents. Well done. So that's Jane. And finally, we have Jake. Jake, given tremendous gifts and abilities. So much energy, such a sharp wit and ability to make people laugh, a great deal of compassion. Jake also had a lot of fear. And the thing about fear is sometimes it can create its own reality. You see, Jake would hear people criticize him, and he would start to take that criticism and really believe that it was true. He would hear parents, teachers say, "You're just not applying yourself enough." And he would hear that, internalize it, and soon enough he stopped applying himself. He began to turn more and more inward. And he looked at his friend Joel, and he looked at his friend Jane, and he said, "Why couldn't I have been given gifts like that? It's just not fair. I came into this world and God just didn't give me much to work with. I wish I could be like them. I wish I had their talent. I wish I had their abilities." And the thing about envy is it starts to destroy gratitude. It starts to whittle away faith. And so Jake's world just became smaller and smaller and safer, at least he thought, until he was trapped in his own world of resentment and loneliness and fear. And it was so painful for him. It was as if he was weeping and gnashing his teeth. He felt very alone. And Jake went to God in prayer, and he had this aha moment. It was as if he could hear God saying to him, "Look at everything I've given you. More than enough. More than enough. Go out there and use it. Be not afraid." So this is the story of Joel and Jake and Jane. Which one do you identify with? You identify with a piece of one or the other? There might be a little bit of all of us in there. If you can learn something from the story, though, it's best not to compare yourself, right? Because to go back to the parable itself, remember how much I said a talent was worth? What is one talent worth? Yes, a lifetime's worth of wages, and good wages at that. So what is the story trying to get through to us? That you've been given more than enough. More than enough. Gifts, graces, ability, energy, talents, love, compassion. Each and every one of us, we have more than enough to spend, if you will, in this lifetime. And so I hope you'll come away from this midrash today asking yourselves this question: how will I spend my life? Amen?